I'm gonna get undressed now. I'm covered in COVID at the end of this shift. Gown goes in a very special place. Gloves. Whew. My name is Jennifer Ellis. I am an emergency physician in Los Angeles. Many of our patients are essential workers, and as a result, we have the highest proportion of coronavirus admissions in LA County. This most recent surge has just been, it's exhausting. I'm feeling drained, my stomach hurts, I'm tired, and I'm sad. We've just basically been getting inundated with COVID patients, and they're sicker and sicker every shift. Our ICU is filled to the brim, overflowing several floors. The emergency room becomes an ICU. We throw as many doctors and nurses as we can up to the waiting room because we don't have rooms in the back to bring the patients back. You know, it feels like a mass casualty event every night for 8 months. When people die, I usually get to tell the family to their face. And most of the time, if they're very sick, the family's there at the bedside. I've held up notes. I've whispered in their ear. I've told them, you know, your daughter loves you. Your wife said you were the best husband, the best friend. Just having to be a conduit for, you know, for the family's love that when they can't be here, it's a lot.
If you have appendicitis right now in the middle of this pandemic and you come to the emergency room, you know, you might wait 9 hours to be seen. You may not be seen. You may walk away in frustration. You may not want to sit in a waiting room with 40 people coughing on you. The problem is that so many of my colleagues have fallen sick. So many nurses have been sick, so many doctors have gotten sick that, you know, we have staffing issues on top of physical location issues. It's not just that we've run out of the physical room, because we have. We're also running out of the staff who can provide the critical care. Right now, right when I get home, I still feel really contaminated. Like right now, I'm very uncomfortable. Like I want to just throw these clothes in there and turn it on hot, hot, hot. And then get in the shower. And once I get out of the shower, then I'm home.
I think it's about 11 o'clock, a little after 11. She has a really hard time sleeping and getting to sleep. So in the morning, she'll typically text me help of some kind. And if I don't respond right away, I'll start getting memes of increasing severity.
My 2 kids are 3 years old and 8 years old. On top of the stress of the pandemic, I feel like because of my career, I've put them through a lot more than they should have to deal with.
I'm going to bumblebee and a donut.
A bumblebee and a donut? That makes sense. My eldest, he's become a little bit OCD since this started, and I think he's internalized a lot of our stress about taking precautions.
Oh, honey, you don't have to wash your hands again.
He's started washing his hands a lot. He can't sleep at night. I feel terrible for that.
I'm good, tired.
How was the last night?
It wasn't as bad as the other night, but it was pretty bad.
I got into medicine because I really wanted to be there for people when they were at their most vulnerable, and specifically emergency medicine. I felt like that was something where I could do some good. This pandemic highlights for me and reinforces why I went into medicine, because I feel like it just shows how we're not taking care of each other. As a country, communities, you know, when we're not being responsible, when we're traveling, when people are refusing to wear masks, refusing to make the small sacrifices. I'm seeing people right now who are at the end of the Thanksgiving surge, and that is what, a month out? So the Christmas surge will be in the next couple of weeks. I think that'll be the worst. You know, just last night I was talking to one of my colleagues who was working in the tents, and she came back and she was pacing and she was like breathing quickly, and she knew she had to go back out to the tent, and she said, how much longer do you think we have to do this? How bad is it gonna be, Jen, do you think? And I was like, I don't know, you know as well as I do. I guess we just have to make it through till February, you know, and I think that we're just all holding on till February. Today I get my second dose of the Pfizer vaccine. For us, this is like Christmas and Thanksgiving and our birthday rolled up into one. This is like a chance to take a deep breath and feel like there's hope. It's also bittersweet because if I could, I would give this to my parents or to my patients. The worst of the surge is yet to come in probably the next 2 weeks, but today I get to breathe a little easier, and I think it's going to help give me the strength and the resilience to kind of face the next part. A lot of our patient population are essential workers. They don't have the luxury of having groceries delivered. They don't have nannies, and they don't have, they can't. If their kids are pulled out of school for virtual schooling, they'll have to send them in many cases to like a giant auditorium, you know, to school because they have to go to work. The minute people started flouting the restrictions, and the minute we didn't protect the people on the front lines, it's just a tinderbox. It's just logarithmic progression. I mean, my patients are working in supermarkets. They're working a lot of meatpacking plants. They're working in stores as retail. They're working in shipping companies, and they didn't have PPE, and they didn't have protections, and they didn't have sick days, and so they went to work and they had to spread and they had to get sick. And then they live in houses with several generations. I mean, in the beginning, we would have people coming in who were so sick, and we would ask them, you know, they'd be like 30 years old or something, and we would ask them, who do you live with? I live with 12 people, you know, which means like if you're that sick and you live with 12 people, then those 12 people are gonna get it. And I would say, how old is the oldest person you live with? And they would say, you know, my grandmother is 85 or something. And we knew we were gonna see grandma then next week. If you live in a house with multiple generations and you have to go to work where you face the public and deal with people, you're going to get sick. You know, one day I was up in the front in triage in the waiting room, and I was surrounded by people who would normally be so sick that we would be rushing them back with bells and whistles, and they were all around me, and there was not enough staff. There weren't enough oxygen tanks. There were no rooms, and I just felt overwhelmed. I mean, there were 10, 12 people that were in critical need of being rushed back, and I had to just, you know, we had to do what we could for them in the hallway and put them back in the waiting room and wait. There's going to be a lot more patients who we send home. There might even be patients who we can't save. We might have to choose who to put a ventilator on. You know, they're talking about splitting our oxygen lines so that, you know, one oxygen delivery device on a wall which pumps oxygen, and we could maybe put some kind of device in to split it into eight tubes so we could support 8 patients. We have committees that are meeting to decide on rationing care, if we have to ration care, what the principles will be and how to implement that. So we're bracing for those kinds of choices. I feel like it's a record on repeat. Please wear a mask. Please don't gather with other people. Please don't go to bars. Even though you're healthy, even though you feel like it's not going to make you sick, please, just for a little bit longer, just stay home.